morning, everyone, and welcome to DFW Close Up. I'm Patrick Greenlaw. You know, if you've ever had to put a dog or cat to sleep, you know just how traumatic it can be. Most are put to sleep because they're sick or suffering the effects of old age, but an alarming number of animals in North Texas are euthanized for no good reason.
This is about a 15-year commitment. Now, if you're not willing to do it, you should go down and get yourself a stuffed toy.
That advice is like barking up the wrong tree to far too many Metroplex masters of cats and dogs. It is one of the reasons shelters like this are the last stop for man's best friend. These cuddly creatures' unconditional love was just not enough to keep them from being discarded like so much trash in a bag by irresponsible owners who fabricate some of the lamest excuses known to man.
Nobody wants them because they say it's an ugly dog, and that was the only crime. They're changing the decor in the house. They had a new child. They say, well, we're moving. Well, would you leave your child behind, or your husband or your wife? I don't think so.
Cat by cat, dog by dog, day by day. When you add them all up, it's an estimated 100,000 a year, forced to meet their maker before their time, even in doggy years.
Now, let's not sugarcoat it. Being put to sleep really means being killed with syringes like this and deadly solutions like this on tables like this.
Can you imagine abandoning a face like this or like this to make your life less of a hassle? There are thousands of caring, compassionate North Texans who can't. Like the people at the SPCA, who are passionate about finding permanent homes.
The easiest way to see if you like a dog is put them in your arms. Yep.
I think it's a big responsibility. It's like adopting a child. You're willing to take in that animal, take care of it for the rest of its life.
There are reinforcements waging war for the unwanted, like volunteer adoption and rescue groups who bring dogs and cats to a store near you.
The mobile adoptions are very important. We get to come out and we get to inform the public in general about rescue. A lot of people don't even know there's rescue societies around. And so we do this to inform people about Great Danes, about other rescues, about spaying and neutering, things like that.
We don't sell dogs and cats at all in any of our stores because there are so many unwanted animals, and there's such a population and overexplosion of animals, and so we don't want to add to the problem. We want to help correct the problem.
So anyway you slice it, the number of unwanted and neglected pets does reach epidemic proportions. And one of the people who has spent a career trying to make a difference in the lives of cats and dogs and I guess everything else is Mr. Warren Cox. He's the executive director of the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals of Texas, SPCA. And Warren, welcome to you. And we saw you in that piece. And one of the things that struck me when we did that interview was just some of the excuses. And I know we didn't have time to talk about all of them, but you know, we talked about you changing the decor or you're moving so you leave the pet around. In your many years, I mean, what kind of additional excuses do people use to get rid of an animal?
I think about any excuse under the sun except for the real reason, and the real reason is that they don't want to have the responsibility any longer. So, some of it's behavior, and a lot of the behavioral problems are the ones that they could correct if they would, but they don't. That seems to be one. Allergies are another problem that they have. But I think if it really comes down to the final line, a lot of them are very lame excuses, but even the ones that are legitimate could be corrected if they would simply take the time.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, one of the things the SPCA is very involved in is retention and prevention. Just explain that.
Well, the prevention we've worked at for a number of years. Prevention really meaning, and for the number of years, has been focused on spaying and neutering, which has made a big impact. The number of animals coming into animal shelters nationwide has decreased dramatically over the years. Now we're trying to work on two more areas of prevention. One is a better identification system, which I feel microchip is probably the one if we can get the price down cheap enough where people can do it. The other one is helping people train their animals with behavioral problems. There's a lot more being done on it, not only by local trainers, but by veterinary schools across the nation too, to work on that and the quality of life of the animals that they've got so that they don't get bored, that they don't chew, they don't bark, they don't soil, they don't do a number of these things. These areas are on the word of prevention. And then the retention comes along. It's, you know, it's kind of hard to separate them. So the word is, if you can do all these other things for prevention, then you can work on the retention. And then we have to get into the treatables. And the SPCA of Texas has moved into that area dramatically this year, is treating those animals that normally in the past would have been destroyed. And now we're treating them for minor problems as well as major problems. Also, another big thing that working on the prevention and the retention is working with the formation of a coalition of agencies, the rescue groups, the other interested people, the veterinarians, the animal control, anybody who's involved in the welfare of animals. We're trying to do what is nationwide known as create a no-kill society, or a lower kill ratio. In other words, let's don't put friendly, healthy animals to death.
As we as a society, though, I mean, have we sort of bought into that euphemism about putting them to sleep? I mean, somehow it doesn't have the finality to it, as we tried to point out in that piece there. I mean, have you seen a change, though, in terms of people's perception of what actually is being done?
I think we tried to sugarcoat it, and I think that was the term that you used, you know, don't sugarcoat it, don't in any way you want to slice it. To me, dead is dead. I don't care what you say. And so we tried to make things softer for people. We said that you will put them to sleep. Well, and a lot of people want to know when they're going to wake up. Well, that doesn't happen. They also say euthanize, which is a pleasant, happy death. Well, again, dead is dead. And so I think we're finally coming to that hard term, and it's a hard, cold term when you say kill. I hate the term, but still it's what is happening to our pets. And we've said for years that if it is an epidemic, that it was any other kind of an epidemic, we would have addressed it years ago. Right now it's costing not only the animals their lives, but it's costing us as taxpayers just literally millions and millions of dollars every year to try to do warehouse animals to kill them.
Just very quickly here, we have about 15 seconds left. In terms of your career in this business, I don't want to say industry, but in this business, are you more optimistic today, though? Are we making some sort of strides as a society in terms of how we do treat our pets?
Absolutely. Things are there. There's no comparison between where they were to the 1950s to this new millennium. We are making strides. We'll continue to make strides. We've got more people involved in it we've ever had before. More animals are finding homes, and they're staying. I'd like to say they're staying longer, but I'll have to hedge a little bit on that.
Okay, Warren Cox, thank you very much. And coming up next, we're going to look at some of the people who find people who want to give a loving home to a needy animal.